you're a federal contractor, government subcontractor, or a small business that sells into federal agencies, you're probably watching the government shutdown conversation and thinking, okay, what does this have to do with my contracts, my invoices, and my cash flow? Well, in this video, I'm answering one specific question. Who gets hit first in a government shutdown and why? Especially when federal funding is running on temporary timelines like the January 30th, 2026 deadline we talked about in episode 1. But here's the twist. The first punch is not always the money stops. It's humans disappear. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a 10-minute test to figure out whether you are a first wave, second wave, or fortunately unaffected by a government shutdown. Welcome to episode 2.
We have to pass the budget.
It's the speaker's fault. He won't compromise.
This is ridiculous. We're running out of time.
So welcome to episode 2, in which we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of what you can expect from a government shutdown. Is it going to affect you? Are you going to be unaffected? Well, let's get into the rule that explains 80% of shutdown pain. A shutdown turns the federal government into a very small, very stressed skeleton crew. So the rule is simple. If your work depends on a federal person to approve, inspect, accept, modify, or pay, you get hit early. That's not vibes, by the way. That's just the mechanics. CRS flags exactly this problem, by the way. Furloughed procurement staff can't do inspections or acceptance. Payments can be delayed if approvers are furloughed, and access to government property can be limited. So let's break down the first wave into 3 buckets you can actually recognize in your pipeline. In bucket 1, new work freezes first, and so do many contract actions. If you're counting on any of these below, you are in the splash zone, a new award, an option you're getting exercised, a modification that increases scope or cost, and incremental funding actions on cost type work. Why, you might ask? Well, this is about during a funding lapse. The Anti-Deficiency Act constraints get real, and the people who normally execute options, mods, and funding actions may not be available. CRS specifically calls out limits on exercising options, modifying contracts in ways that increase cost, and obligating funding that is an additional for incrementally funded cost reimbursement contracts. So really, if your Q1 plan is, we'll just get the mod signed next week, you might want to think differently. But what if your contract is already funded and you're actively performing? Great question. Welcome to bucket 2. In bucket 2, you can work, but you can't finish. Even fully funded work can slow down if the government can't do its part. Early hit signals are going to look like this. You need a government inspection to pass a milestone. You need formal acceptance to close a delivery. You need access to a federal facility to perform. You rely on government systems or government badging for support. CRS is blunt here. Fully funded contracts can be delayed if furloughed procurement officers can't do mandatory inspections or formal acceptance. And some contracts can't be performed if facilities are closed or inaccessible. Really, you can build the thing, is really what they're saying, but you just can't hand it in to an empty building. And now for the one that hurts the most, because it shows up on your bank account balance, not your status report. Welcome to bucket 3. Diving into bucket 3, we're going over payment delays and the invoice processing trap. A lot of leaders assume if the contract has money, we'll get paid. Shutdown logic says, cool story, who's going to approve the payment? Well, CRS notes that even if funds are available, payments can still be delayed if the personnel authorized to approve payments are furloughed. What does this mean in practice? What's the practical translation? Well, invoices can sit, approvals can stall, cash timing risk goes up even if performance continues. In a shutdown, liquidity beats correctness. Your invoice can be perfect and still go nowhere. But let's get into a quick lightning round. 2 groups people forget, plus 1 bonus group that gets wrecked quietly. Quickly getting into the lightning round, let's go over the overlooked early hit list. Number 1, grant-funded orgs and research partners. Let's talk about NIH just for 1 second as a good example. For awards made before a lapse, NIH says recipients may continue drawing funds and the payment management system remains operational. But NIH staff may not be available for oversight, and prior approval requests and other communications won't be received until operations resume. What's the translation here? Money might still move, but the support layer goes quiet and approvals back up. Let's go to business number 2, regulated businesses. If your revenue depends on inspections, investigations, compliance help, or routine regulatory throughput, you can feel impacts early. For instance, Department of Labor's contingency plan states that worker protection investigations will cease unless they involve fatalities, catastrophes, or imminent danger, and the technical assistance and most oversight and inquiries will cease unless exempted. Was the translation emergency only, routine after the furlough? Now, third one. This is a bonus one. SBA dependent growth plans. SBA reported that a shutdown froze its Core 7A and 504 lending programs and estimated that each business day that the shutdown continued, hundreds of small businesses could not access SBA-backed loans. What's the translation? Well, we kind of got two at the end of the day. Even if you never sell to the government, a shutdown can still mess with your capital plan. So how do you really quickly classify your risk without making it your full-time job? Here's the promised 10-minute test. If you're ready for the 10-minute first wave test, great, let's go. If not, press pause, grab a pen, grab a paper. Let's start writing some of these things down. I want you to open your top 5 revenue streams and answer these 3 questions. In the next 30 to 60 days, do we need a new award, an option, a mod, or incremental funding? Number 2, do we need a federal inspection, formal acceptance signature, or access to government facilities or systems to complete milestones? Number 3, do we depend on government staff to approve or process payments on a timeline that our cash flow assumes? If you said yes to any one, you're early impact. If you said yes to 2 or 3, you're not at risk, you're scheduled. In the next episode, we're going to talk cash flow stress testing because uncertainty is survivable, running out of cash isn't. Drop a comment below with either first wave or second wave, and I'll share a simple dependency map format you can use internally. As always, please make sure to comment because we try to answer every single comment as it comes in. Lastly, please subscribe, please like, please share. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in episode 3.